updating my Sweatproof makeup routine today. If you're not into makeup, sorry. Let's go into it. Okay, so I filled in my eyebrows off camera with just like a regular pencil, and then I also went over with an ABH brow pomade, but that's not important. This is Danessa Myricks, which I love. It's the Color Fix Fluid. I'm also doing this off the cuff. I hope everyone's okay with that. I have no script. I'm literally just watching the video and hoping that I can remember everything. So please be okay with that. So I'm using Danessa Myricks Color Fix Fluid. This is nude, I believe shade number 7. I'm not even looking at it. But I basically just take this and I clean up under my brow, but then I also use this as an eyeshadow primer for my whole eyeshadow look that I do. Because this fluid, I don't know what's going on in it, but I love it, but it's waterproof. Meaning, as a primer, it just like keeps all my powders in place, all the eyeshadows that I put on top of it. I've just never had problems with it. Years ago on Beyond, I had like a glittery one that I used on just like my lid and stuff, and it was really nice. And then so I think that's what inspired me to buy this. But if you watched my other video from like me trying makeup in Houston or whatever that video is, I'm using like the darker color, and then this is the lighter color. So if that continues the lore of that video, because I was trying new makeup out, and so I did figure out a better way of using it. But anyway, that is what's happening with my eyes there. So that's that set. And then I have these 4 brushes that I use for eyeshadow. Regardless of like what I do on this ship, I just kind of do the same eyeshadow look, which was not approved by our office. Thank you. So there's a gold, there is like a brick color, I want to say. There's like a chocolate, a medium chocolate, we'll say, and then there's like a dark chocolate brown. So those are the 4 colors I use. And I start with that brick color, and I just like go over kind of like above, I guess, where my natural crease would be, if we're thinking anatomy wise. But basically this is when my eye is like fully open. This is like the color that you'll see the most, is the way I think of it. So it's like transition color, some people would call it, or like I think of it as like a base. Like I kind of go over most of my eye with it. And then I take this dark medium brown, not the dark chocolate, but the medium chocolate, and I go around the outer V, like where my outer V is on my eye, but still going a little bit above the actual crease. So I'm tapping this brush basically onto the bone, like my eye bone. Does that make sense, everyone? God, this is stressful. What I'm doing here is like creating dimension. I'm trying to like talk technically about all this stuff, but I really just do the same thing, and I hope for the best. One of my goals for like this next year is like, I want to really upskill my makeup and be better at this. But anyway, so I take the first brush again and kind of just like blend that all away, so that it's just not really like any harsh lines or anything. And yeah, my goal is like diffuse. Like I try to go for like a really smoked out kind of like wash of color almost from stage. So to continue that, I take this orange color that's like, it looks really bright, but it's kind of just like ends up being like kind of my skin tone, like a warmer, like a blush, I guess. Oh my god, can you hear the ship moving around me? I take this warm orange color and just like keep like buffing out that chocolate, the medium chocolate color that's on the outer V. And it just, I don't know. I want this shape to be really cool, but I think I just end up doing the same thing every time. But anyway, we take the gold there. This is like a really, really, really glittery gold. It's like a yellow gold. This video, I filmed this video like halfway through my contract, I want to say. And when I'm doing this voiceover, I'm like at the end of my contract. So I have like kind of evolved this a little bit, and I take a little red, like a reddish glitter and put it under this gold, or kind of like mix the two. And it makes this beautiful little copper shade. So I've started doing that. So if you see any Instagram stories, that's what's happening. But once the gold is there on my lid, which is once again above my actual lid, it's like on that little bone again, is like the top of it. I take that medium chocolate brush, no extra shadow, but I just like mix, or blend that back, and so that it's not harsh. Holy moly, you guys. Now, this is eyeliner. And this is from Trixie Cosmetics, love. Also, the eyeshadow is from Beauty Bay, by the way. That's Beauty Bay, the Brights 2.0. I'll try to like list everything down below. But this is the eyeliner from Trixie Cosmetics. I used to use the Point Made by One Size as well, but then I ran out of that, and I found this Trixie Cosmetics one, and I really like it. Very waterproof. Now, this is mascara. This is not waterproof, this first one. Everything else that I'm using is like waterproof throughout this routine, but this one isn't, because I'm just taking this, and it's kind of hard to see, but like I'm going basically like at my lash line and not really like extending my lashes. I'm just like filling in any points that I may have missed on my like lash line, basically with the eyeliner. I'm taking the mascara to kind of fill that in, so it just like thickens up the lash line a little bit. But that's the eyes done, so I'm gonna clean up with micellar water, of course, and then I do use a setting spray on the eye makeup before I continue onto the face. Now, this is a lot of setting spray to be spraying on just my eyeballs, but it did feel nice, so I just kept going. That's the only reason I did that. But I'm just gonna take a fan and let that cool off, dry down, not cool off, but like, you know, I want to just make sure that everything is basically set there. But that's the eye makeup. And so now onto the face, we use this Hydro Grip primer from Milk, which is just like what I've used for so long. I don't even know if it's like the best primer for me, but like it is hydrating, and I only use it in the center of my face, but I've used it for years, so I think it's fine and I think it works. But basically, yeah, we're just trying to make sure that like anything that I put on top of this is gonna stick. So I'm really just like pressing that into my skin and making sure it gets that kind of tacky feeling that that primer is known to do. I forgot to mention also the setting spray is from Fenty. It's beautiful and glowy. This is Danessa Myricks again, and that's my dirty brush. But I don't remember the shade, guys. I think it's 8, I want to say, in this blurring primer balm powder thing. I love this. I've used this for years as well, and it's really great. I use it kind of as like a foundation, I'll say, even though, once again, where the primer was in the center of my face, that's all I'm doing in terms of my complexion products. So this is like a first layer of concealer, it's like another layer of primer, and it's like foundation all mixed into one for me. So I just take it under my eyes, like towards like around the end of the eyeshadow. Basically, I take it around my mustache area to highlight, and I take it right between my eyes, basically. Which is something I learned from doing kinky boots to feminize the face, I'm pretty sure is the reason why. But it just ends up like just creating like a little spotlight in the center of my face is the way I think of it. And that's where I need the most coverage, / where I sweat the least, because I sweat on my forehead a lot, and I also sweat from my hairline on the sides coming down my face, so I try not to go too far above and too far out because it would just come off. And I take care of my skin, so I don't put foundation on those parts so that it can all just blend in together. So I take a little damp beauty blender and I beauty blend. And I'm so sorry the ship was moving when I was filming this. So if you see those little like flashy stripes across the video, that's what's happening. I'm not sorry. I'm on a ship. It moves. Like, I don't know why I apologize for that. But basically, I just blend this all away and I make sure that I'm really, really pressing this into my skin. No light blending here. We're like I'm really making sure that this is like into my skin. It ends up, you know, kind of shearing out when I do this, but I feel like it just sets up a good base for the concealer that I'll put on top and the blush that I'll put on top. And then with the clean side of that beauty blender, once it's all blended in, I just kind of like blur the edges a little bit there, because once again, I don't really need that much on the outside of my face. So it ends up just being like a natural highlight. And then my skin tone becomes like the contour, the bronze, if you can think of it that way. So once that's done, I move on to cream blush. This is from Made by Mitchell, I believe. I think I said too many M's, but I take this like, I don't even know, like a strawberry, I guess, color maybe. It's like the deepest one in the medium palette. I do need to buy the deep palette. I've realized I bought too light of a shade. Or like a shade too light in this palette. So I will be ordering the deeper one because I really like this. And I think this is a beautiful color. It's just like, I would like to play with other colors in the palette and they're all too light for me. So yeah, I take that on a brush and I just kind of like use my little mixing palette. But I want to make sure that it's like, once again, pressed into the skin. But this, I don't press as hard as I did when I was blending my foundation sort of shades in, because it just kind of goes away. Like I want it to be pigmented, and this is the way that I found. So I just kind of like lightly press that in, making sure it's blended on the edges, and then I do put a little bit on my nose as well. But this kind of covers my cheeks, to be honest. Like I really take this blush kind of crazy, and then when I use my concealer, actual concealer, in a second, it will just kind of blend it out a little bit more. And then when I set with powders and things, it just ends up looking like a nice little like glow blush from within without looking too crazy. But I go in crazy at the beginning to just make it natural. I don't know. Same thing with the beauty blender again, just kind of like erasing the edges, blending the edges, if you will. But this is the clean side, not the side that has like the foundation on it. But yeah, so this is also light. Again, I'm not going too hard with the cream blush because this disappears on me. I've had it disappear before. And maybe that's like user error. Nothing against Mitchell, but yeah, so that does disappear. This is the best skin ever from Sephora concealer. This is like years old at this point. I got it like in Europe, so I don't even know if this is like the original packaging or like a weird European version. But anyway, that only goes under my eyes in the center, and I do wait. I like apply the concealer and then I wait for like 5 minutes and I like clean up my area. But then once that is clean, I take the beauty blender, and once again, this is lighter, not as hard going in with the beauty blender, but I am still like pressing, especially like in the center, like right in the center of my face, like under my eye, because that's where my little eye bags, eye lines, whatever those are, that's where those are. So I try to like keep that in place, and then I can spread out whatever is left over on the sponge into that blush, like I was saying earlier, to create that little gradient. But yeah, so I try to concentrate as much as I can in the center and just leaving that there, but like pressing it in. And that once again just like helps with coverage. And speaking of coverage, we have this Fenty powder with my little sponge, whatever this is called, powder puff is what they're called. And I dab that out into the lid, so I get like a good amount of powder on there because I do kind of go in heavy with this powder, but I just try to make sure it's like even on the puff before I put it onto my face. And this is very like 2016 of me, but I do kind of go in with this powder. And once again, the reason is I'm gonna be like sweating, like I'm gonna be on stage, it's gonna be hot, and I want to make sure that everything, all the work that I did is like pressed in. So I don't really go back in after I do both eyes, like they each get their own little dip of the powder, but then whatever's left over, that goes on my nose, under my nose, and my little center of my forehead. And I just like blend that out with this brush. Once again, I've like evolved, and so I now kind of don't do as much powder, but what powder I do have, I spread, or I press in around my face instead of brushing off, because I don't have that much powder left over nowadays. But regardless, I just am taking whatever's left over of the powder and setting the blush as well with that. So I'm using a brush here, but I use my powder puff to do this, if you're like looking at me like in December of 2025. So that is this process. And once this obviously like takes a second, because like I'm trying to be like delicate and stuff with my skin, and I don't want to just like brush everything away. But once this happens, my face gets really like matte, which is good. Like I'd rather have like know that it's really covered. Like these pressed powders are from One Size, and I use this to just reinforce the under eye, like my little, like I said, the little lines that are under my eyes. I just take that and like press that in that area, and then I'm also going to do the same thing with like a kind of my skin tone color on the outside, like on my cheeks mostly, and it kind of creates like a little bronzed contour combination look. And so the point though that I was trying to make with the powders is that everything ends up looking a little matte on the center of my face specifically. Oh my god, specifically on the center of my face, everything looks very matte. And then when I use like the Fenty spray or like any kind of like dewy spray, it ends up just like creating like a skin-like finish instead of going too wet, because I have really oily skin. So this is the darker shade of that One Size powder, and I'll just use that, as you can see, like in this like patting motion basically, but just I'm once again touching my bones. So that's my cheekbone that I'm touching, and I'm taking it, I do the little smile to like see where the end of my cheek is, because I just have like really round apples in my cheeks, and so I kind of like accentuate that, / that's like a stopping point for me. And so this does take a little second. Like I feel like I'm like so delicate with my makeup, and I take so long, but also I'm so rough and like do the same thing every day. So like sometimes it takes me 2 hours to do this, which is like, I wish I was joking, but I just really enjoy the act of doing makeup. Is that okay? Can I enjoy doing makeup? Like, can I like listening to music for 2 hours backstage and doing my makeup? Okay. I take this same powder and put it on my nose just to once again bring back the life to my face, because that powder is light that I use. It's like banana, I believe, is the Fenty powder. So yeah, so I basically just like touch my nose with it. Like there's no lines or anything. And then I take the blush brush that I used earlier. No extra blush was put on it, but just whatever's left over, I use that to blend out the area between my two One Size powders. So like the darker one and the lighter one that I use under my eye. So I use this blush brush to just kind of like diffuse everything. And once that's done, I believe I go back, with my eyeshadow. Okay, so once again, no extra product is being put down. I'm just using everything to blend back in. Now that I've like completed the face, I just marry the eyeshadow to the rest of my face. So like bringing a little bit down my nose, because I just feel like that kind of like makes my face look good. I don't really know why I do it. And then as well on the outside, I just kind of like blend everything along like the outside of my lash line basically, just so it's not like a harsh stop, you know? So like I said earlier, I go for like the blurred, diffused kind of look in general. Like I don't really try to do harsh lines. I don't try to. Sometimes there are harsh lines on my face and I'm sorry, but I don't try to. And so same thing with the inner corner. I just kind of bring this down a little bit under my eye, and it just like creates a little nice effect of like a glow and like I'm awake. This looks really beautiful when I use highlight sometimes. There's a highlight, the Diamond Balm highlighter I'm going to use in a second from Fenty, but anyway. This is the brow pencil I used earlier. I just used the little spoolie side of it to fade out the front of my brow, because I've, you know, waterproofed them with like the ABH pomade and stuff, but I kind of like keep it harsh for a while because I don't really know how far I'm going to take it in, and I don't want to erase anything too soon. But I just, basically just go and really just like rough up the front end of my brow because I don't have brow hair, sorry. So all I'm doing is just making believe. This is the eyeliner again. I'm just like extending the inner corner, but like the slightest bit, like nothing crazy. My eyeliner is not crazy. I don't do wings. I don't do any of that because I don't want to. So this is an eyeliner pencil, not an eyebrow pencil, an eyeliner pencil that's also waterproof from Sephora, I believe, or Urban Decay. And I just take that on under my eye. I do have a nude version of this as well that I use for one of our shows when I want to feel awake. But anyway, regardless, I use this little brush to kind of blur that out. And that's basically all I do under my eyes for the shows. I don't really go too crazy under my eyes for the simple reason of I don't feel like it. So that's that. And then everything's done, so I just kind of use that Fenty setting spray again, and I really do douse. This one is like on purpose. Like I want to douse the powders and make sure that they're all rehydrated and that everything can have a chance to like glow on my skin basically. And so once it's like 85% dry with like a fan or whatever, just like waiting, and it still feels like a little bit wet but not too wet, I take my same damp beauty blender and I just like pat it in basically. And so that sets me up for this highlighter as well. This is the Diamond Balm I mentioned earlier. It's the rose colored one, and I just go on my cheeks with highlight, touching my bone, my cheekbone. I go across the tip of my nose, and I bring it down the bridge as well. And then I go right in between. I think I cut it out because it didn't really make a difference. But basically, like in between my eyes as well, I just kind of like highlight there as well. And so this is the one I mentioned that sometimes I take this. Of lately, I've been taking this in the inner corner as well of my eye for all the shows. And I also, with that fluffier brush that I use for my cheek highlight, I just kind of go over all the eyeshadow and lightly just pat, and it creates this beautiful little like glitter effect. I'll try to like show that maybe in the future if I ever do this again. But that's everything other than my lips. And so this is the same Urban Decay, that eyeliner. This is just a dark brown in it. And once again, this is like of laziness. I could just find a dark brown lip liner somewhere, but I was using this as an eyeliner and I just kept sharpening it. And then I started using it for my lips. So it's hygienic because it's my eye and my lip. But I blend that out, and then I use 2 Fenty glosses basically interchangeably, but just like a nude lip is what we're going for. Just I want really high shine gloss. So I try to line, I just took the mic away from my face, sorry. I just line it in brown on the outside, and then I take this like nude color, and I really specifically the bottom lip, I try to make that a little bit more nude than the top so that it's like that two-tone lip effect thing that I love. And that's it. Like that's everything, you guys. Wow, what a roller coaster. I hope this was fun and informative. And it really does work for me. Like this, like I'll finish 2 shows and be sweaty and my face will still be on. So hopefully you've learned some things from this. I hope you subscribe. If you got to the end of the video, thanks for being here. You can leave comments down below. You can like the video, all the things. Hopefully there's more coming in the future. But yeah, there's other videos here whenever you want. Bye. I think that went pretty well.